Welcome back to the Past Our Prime podcast. I am your host, Julian Hoskins. Alongside me, as always, my best friend, Jordan Carrillo.
Jordan Carrillo, that is me. Episode 4, Past Our Prime. We get right into it. We're getting to talking all the nitty gritty about what's going on, everything sports right now. Yeah, and
we got the finals coming up, baby.
Finals coming up.
This is it.
Thursday, maybe? Question mark?
Thursday. This is it.
Tornadoes and hail and windstorms out in Oklahoma City. You never know what's going on there.
Who doesn't know so far? I think this news just came out, but Indiana, their flight to Oklahoma City just got delayed because there's tornado warnings in Oklahoma City. All of the metro. I got a screenshot from my girlfriend earlier, and on the news, it literally said in the caption, it goes, basically all of the metro in tornado warning right now.
Yeah. It's just another day in paradise, man. You go out to Oklahoma City, that's something to expect during this time of year.
But that means a thunderstorm's coming, man. And the Thunder are ready to roll. I don't know. Other news, before we get to the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder final, we do have some breaking news. Tom Thibodeau, R.I.P. to Tom Thibodeau's job.
Coaching. To him's job.
He's a goner.
He's a goner. Tom Thibodeau, if you don't know, is the head coach for the Knicks for the past 5 seasons, leading them all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, the first time they had a shot at an NBA title since Melo. It's been a little while for them, and in 5 seasons for Tom Thibodeau to turn this team into something that could have been great. Got the chopping block. And it's sad to hear because last season he actually got a 3-year extension when you think you have enough cushion underneath you, NBA says, nope. Psych. You're out of here. It just shows the intensity at that level. I mean, just you're talking about rookie athletes out there competing on these 1-year contracts, fighting for another shot to stay in the NBA and to play at that caliber. Coaches are right there too. There's a lot of things that people don't think about is a head coach, even if you have a great season, you get all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, game 6, right? Game 6, like you're almost there. You lose and you're out. Your 3-year extension slashed. And you're cut.
Sink.
How do you feel about that?
It was expected.
Yeah.
It was expected. Yeah.
You said a little bit earlier that he was on the hot seat. Why was he on the hot seat?
Because he doesn't play his damn bench.
We did talk about that last episode.
About this. Even Mikal Bridges, who is a juggernaut in the NBA, like who never gets hurt, was complaining about the minutes he was getting this season. Like these guys are getting so tired and so winded, and we're talking about an 82-game season. It's long. It's exhausting. Dudes are getting injured. Dudes are getting hurt. Guys need to take, breaks every once in a while, just to get their feet back under them. So even like the slightest of bruises or anything like that, like they kind of just sit them sometimes. Right. Like, hey, take a couple games. And I think with Tom Thibodeau, it was like, no, we're
playing 7. Yeah. We have 5 out there. We have 2 that we can kind of rotate in, but that's it. And we talked about in the last episode, that's the ultimate reason why they lost to the Pacers is they were just so damn exhausted all the time. The minutes that these guys are getting are insane, right? Granted, bench depth, but you also have a whole team. You play with 15 to 17 athletes out there all season long, and you're starting the same 7. You're bound to get tired and you're bound to lose,
Yeah.
And it's easier to watch film on that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it's so easy to say, okay, we need to watch these 7 guys, and other than that, Tom is not going to make the right adjustments. So just guard them when they're in. We're going to have slight changes. When you have a team like Oklahoma City Thunder that are 17 guys, all ballers, right? You got to worry about every single one when they come in. What are the different schemes that they're going to run when Chet Holmgren gets taken out and they are running no bigs, right? Hartenstein's out and they're just running out with 5 speedy guys. Like, yeah, you could shoot
J-Dub
the
is
two.
playing the 5.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You could shoot the two, but it doesn't matter because we're already down the paint with 3 fresh guys off the bench and getting our starters, some rest.
Right. I thought maybe just because they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals that it would change some minds a little bit. Because no one expected them to get there in the first place. They were bound to lose against a good Celtics team. Right. And they beat them. So I thought maybe we're looking at something good here. But we go back to the point about not playing enough players, and Tom Thibodeau is just one of those guys where you try something and it just ends up being too late to do that, right? We saw that with the Pacers series even, like playing Shamet more, not playing Cameron Payne, giving Mitchell Robinson the minutes that he deserved. So, and by the time you try that, like you lose one more game and the series is over,
right?
Because you already lost 3. So I don't know. I was maybe banking on. I was hoping maybe. Cause I never want to see anybody get fired, man. Like that sucks. But I was hopefully. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tommy.
Yeah. Sorry, Tom. You are out. A new guy.
He'll get another one though.
Oh, for sure.
He'll get another job.
He'll go and assist somewhere or get a head coach position for a minor league team or a high school basketball team or something.
I knew the Hornets needed a coach. Some of these teams are terrible, man. He can go find somewhere to go.
Right.
Some of these teams are so bad.
Right.
All right, let's get to the bread and butter. How about it?
Let's do it. Oklahoma City.
Indiana. We'll give our predictions at the very end.
Yeah.
But if you are not a Hoops fan, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like this series, you're not a Hoops fan, is what I meant to say. But this is actually going to be a very good series, I think, because we have one of the best offenses in the league, and then we have obviously the best defense that we've probably seen in whatever.
Right.
Go up against each other. So this is really going to be the epitome of does defense win championships for the Thunder? And if not, then I don't know what to tell you.
Corner 3.
Corner 3. Corner 3. Neesmith, another corner 3.
You ever seen that episode of Family Guy when they exploit the video game? Right? You're exploiting the bad 90s technology, right? And he's like, Peter Griffin's over there, corner 3. Corner 3. He's like, I wonder what he's going to do. And he's like, you got to stop that, And he's like, you got to get somebody out there. And he's like, he's exploiting bad technology. He's like, corner 3. Corner 3. That's what it's going to be.
I do remember that episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. It was like NBA Jam or something. I forgot what that was. Like GameCube or something like that. Yeah, that was funny, dude. I want to ask you this, and I want to start out with this just because we saw kind of what happened with Oklahoma City after the first round, having that good week off. Does the actual rest, taking the week off, affect Oklahoma City in any way? Do you think it affects them positively? Do you think it affects them negatively? Or do you think there's not going to be a change at all?
I think it's a positive experience for them.
Yeah.
I really do. They're sitting in a good spot. Their heads are in a good place. They know that the job is not done. And they harp on that after every interview. They say, we're going to celebrate for a couple days, but we're going to get right back into it. We're going to get into the locker room. We're going to get back on the practice court. We're going to train in tempo, and we're ready for it. I think these young guys are ready for it. And it's like you had mentioned with Jalen and Shea and Chet, after every single interview, they ask them, you got to be hyped. You got to be excited. And, they're excited on the inside. It's not like they're sitting there and they're taking anything for granted, right?
Right.
They are excited, but their emotions and where their headspace has been at all season long is, I know we went out and won, 62 games?
68.
I know we went out and won 68 games. I know we're ranked number 1, right? I know we just beat a tough Denver Nuggets. I know we just beat a tough Timberwolves. but the job is not done for us. That was never our
Right.
original goal, was to go,
Yeah.
we beat Denver, now we're done, right? Our mentality is play for the title.
Yeah. I don't know about you, Jordan. Does it feel a little bit different with this Oklahoma City team in comparison to the 2012 Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook team? Like, for me, it feels like a different feeling. Like, I think it was Kendrick Perkins that said this. Maybe it was game 1 or 2, but he said essentially, like, they were just happy to get to the NBA Finals. And then that's why they got crushed by the Heat. Where I feel as if this team, this iteration of the team in 2024, 2025, it is NBA championship or like bust for them.
Right.
Because this is a head and shoulders a better team than anybody else in the league, and it has been for a long time. Damn it, they got the #1 seed since middle of March.
Right.
Middle of March. They were the #1 seed. Locked it. Sealed it. They are head and shoulders above everybody. But they still have a series to prove that.
Right.
Where I feel as if this team is a little bit different, and I'll get to the Indiana Pacers here in a second, but what is your feeling about this team in comparison to maybe that 2012 team?
I think the 2012 team, and I might catch some hate for this, but was a little bit more about themselves. A little bit more
I think you're
egotistical.
totally right.
I think
yeah.
it was the Russell Westbrook show. Kevin Durant was already looking at, hey, I made it this far. I'm going to go get my next title somewhere else, right? And then he gets traded to the Golden State Warriors, right? So,
well, that was in 2017. I mean, he's still there for 5 more years.
Oh, maybe
yeah.
I guess I would.
Because they made it to the Western
attention
Conference
as much,
Finals, I think, in 2016, 2017. And then I think, was it KD that got to the Warriors in 2018? I think, no, not 2018. He went to the Warriors, I think, in 2017. So the 2016 team is when they were up 3-1 on the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals and blew it. And then that's when he got traded to the team that just essentially beat him in the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
Yeah, but they traded James Harden. I don't know. Maybe that's what you were thinking. James Harden they got rid of after that season, or maybe a season after.
Where he got like 6th man of the year or something.
Yeah,
some kind of crazy award. But yeah, I think it's more egotistical. While this Oklahoma City Thunder team right now, with it being 2025, they're a lot more about the team. Even when the MVP was being awarded to Shea, and they were giving everybody, they went from Shea to Jalen to Chet. And Chet said, I couldn't have done it without the 17 guys on my team, right? Anybody could say anything about the fans or myself, but we have 17 guys on this team, and I could say that about anybody on this team, how hard they play all year round, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're very team-oriented, the AAU mentality. I think they are winning it for each other versus trying to win it for themselves and what they're going to do next year. I don't know. How do you feel?
I agree completely. I think that 2012 team was a very self-centered. I mean, you think about it, they had 3 MVPs on that team, and James Harden was bound to go somewhere else and run a team by himself.
Right.
And that's when he went to
the
Houston.
Rockets, yeah.
And then, you had Russell and KD, and let's face it, both of those guys were meant to run teams by themselves during their primes, at least. I think at the time it was KD's team, but Russell, I think in the back of his head, knew that he could run the team as well.
Right.
And so you saw that after, Kevin Durant left. I mean, it was Russell's team.
Right.
For years. But this team feels different for me too because of that. This team is just so close to one another. They hang out together. They always talk about being best friends. Now you have an MVP. You have another MVP on your team. Everybody's super young. It is like an AAU team. So I agree with everything that you just said. It feels different, but it feels like they're more hungry for it too. I think in their heads, they know that they can go win this. And I don't believe that they'll blow it, but we'll get to our predictions later. The next thing I really want to focus on, though, is the pace factor of this game because Indiana runs like crazy. I don't know how many miles
we talked
or
about the
sprints
fast
they
break
do.
points that they had against the Knicks.
Yeah, you did. You had a lot of stats for that one, and man, I don't know if it's going to be to that extent during the Oklahoma City series.
Right.
I would doubt it if it is. But they still are a fast team.
Very fast.
On top of
Yep.
Oklahoma City being a fast team. So this literally could be just a full-on sprint fest every single game.
Mm-hmm.
Transition points after transition points for both teams. So I really want to know your opinion. Who do you think wins the pace battle?
I think the pace battle is going to be different depending on who has home court. It's going to be tough competing against Oklahoma City in the Paycom Center because of the energy that's in there. It's going to wear on them mentally, not alone physically. Of you got a fast break point, great, right? The stadium's quiet, they're booing you, talking crap, right? Whatever that might happen. So the fast pace might slow down at that point to them, or not catch as much momentum. So I think it really does depend on the location of where the game is going to be at. But ultimately, I think how often the Oklahoma City Thunder forces turnovers, it's going to cause some second guessing within a young Pacers team who has shown even against the Knicks with how sloppy their defenses can be, the undisciplined actions that they had happened in Game 6 where they had turned the ball over. Halliburton turned it over 3 times in the first quarter, right?
Right.
At home. So
Yeah.
I think with the carelessness of it and how tight and how fast Oklahoma City's defense rotates, it's going to be who can force more steals versus who's going to carelessly turn the ball over. And you've seen it. Yeah. Oklahoma City hardly turns the ball over unless it was stolen, right? They're very disciplined. They know where they're placing it at all times. And so I just think that Oklahoma City is going to control the pace of the game more by making those plays. And with head honcho Alex Caruso being the number one deciding factor on each game of how defensively that it's going to be.
OG Caruso.
Unk. I mean, you get Chet that goes up there and he's arguably one of the best shot blockers in the league. But we're talking about steals and turnovers here. I'm just gonna have to leave it at that. So I don't know how you feel.
I feel the same way. I think you kind of nailed the head on the home court advantage factor. I think it's good for Oklahoma City to have home court advantage in this one. I think it's
for the first 2 games.
For the first 2, and then obviously going back if they need a game 5 or a game 7, like they have those in their back pocket if they need them. But I think coming out of the gates, it's going to take a minute for Indiana to kind of figure this defense out if they are going to at all, because they are that aggressive, that handsy, that fast, and that quick, and that aggressive for everybody. And it's not, they don't have a weak link. And if we're going to talk about a weak link, it's most likely going to be Hartenstein, just because he's the slowest on the team. But I wouldn't even say that he's a weak link. Like, you could play him out on the court by himself, playing that, just the one big rotation with him, and then sub in Chet. But even if you didn't want to play Hartenstein, you can still put in Kenrich Williams, who's sitting at a solid 6'9" or 6'10". They play him at center whenever they play small ball. You can play J-Dub at small ball, and I'll get to the small ball thing later. But it's going to take a minute for Indiana to really figure it out, if they're going to figure it out at all. And I don't think that they're going to do that in Oklahoma City. That especially that game 1, if they do figure it out, game 1, and if Oklahoma City has to adjust, then I feel like Oklahoma City's maybe going to be in some trouble. But I just don't see a world where Oklahoma City just comes out flat in an NBA Finals game at home. There's just no way.
They only lost 6 games all season long at home.
Yeah, at home. And they lost that one against Denver on a buzzer beater.
Right, and we mentioned it a couple episodes ago. Every time they played the Pacers, first time they played the Pacers, beat by 25, 26
No, it
points?
was 6, I think. They actually beat them by 6, and then they beat them by like 20 or 30 the next time they played them twice. I will say this about Indiana. Oklahoma City has turned or Indiana has less turnovers against Oklahoma City than any other team in the NBA. And the last team that Oklahoma City, I think, lost to at home or something. I saw a stat earlier, or the last time that they lost by double digit or something like that, it was the Indiana Pacers back in like 2024 or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, to say the least, like, Indiana can take care of the ball against Oklahoma City. There is a way to do that, but you have to be very intentional about where you're passing it, where you're driving to. Your decisions have to be on point at all points of the game. All 48 minutes of the game, you have to be locked in.
Right.
Because if Oklahoma City senses a weakness in your game for a stretch of 2 minutes, that lead that they have by 5 points turns into 20 within 2.5 minutes. And the game's over. And I think that's what Indiana has to really look out for. Because this team defensively, it's not like the Warriors back in 2017 with Kevin Durant, where they would just chuck up threes and they would go up 30. This team does it on the defensive side of the ball, where they'll turn the ball over 3-4 times, get a block, get a rebound, force you into bad shots. They get out in transition. They're making layups, maybe a three here or there. And then the game is just blown out. And then there's just no way of coming back against this defense. They're just too good. So if you're Indiana, if you can just stay in the game, I think that's a win for you. Because with Indiana, what we just talked about earlier, the corner threes, Halliburton, doing his thing, he can hit threes. They hit really tough shots at times. Pascal Siakam hits really tough shots at times. But all these shots are going to be contested, most likely. I don't think Oklahoma City has that scary factor, when we're talking about a Jokic, right? Where your whole defense, all 10 eyes are literally locked in on one guy on the defensive side of the ball.
Same with
or
Minnesota.
Anthony Edwards.
Yep, Anthony Edwards. I was just about to say that.
You have to blitz him. You have to double him. You have to get the ball out of his hands. And they were so focused on that. Halliburton is a great player. And I think he was rated, the most underrated player this season. I don't see why they did that.
I think Pascal is more of a threat.
Pascal is a threat. But they have so many guys that can guard him. Because they're not going to let him catch the ball, 14 feet out from, the goal. They're going to make him catch it 18 feet out. And if he wants to post up from that far out, by all means, do it. Because that means you're just wasting the shot clock. And if Oklahoma City can force you into a shot with only 1-2 seconds left on the shot clock, that's a win for them. Even if you make it or not, you have to live and die with that. But that's what Oklahoma City does and why the defense is so successful. Because they don't let you get to your spots. And they force the ball into other guys' hands. So they're going to force the ball to go to Neesmith. They're going to force the ball, to go to McConnell, right? Like, they want you to do that. They're not going to let Pascal beat them. They're not going to let Tyrese Halliburton beat them. They're going to let everybody else beat them. But that's the scary thing about Indiana is that they do have a bench. They have other guys that can beat, just like Oklahoma City does.
They got some shots. They got some three-point shooters, man. Pascal, who really wasn't that great of a three-point shooter 4 years ago, wasn't that great. But now all of a sudden he's hitting shots, draining them. You got Halliburton, had some pretty clutch buzzer beater shots. What was it, game 3 or game 4, where he had those really clutch shots against the Knicks to keep him in that and ultimately come back in overtime. You just have that clutch factor about some of these players that if they do show up to ball, then I feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder might have a kind of a tough time to react, especially since it has been seen in the playoffs, the Oklahoma City Thunder has kind of struggled consistently on shooting the threes. They all Very season much. Long, they were some of the top 3-point shots in the league. Dort, for example, hitting those shots. Now in the playoffs, it seems like, I want to say it has to do with shooting with confidence, because they know that they can hit that shot. It's that second guessing of, should I pass here? Right? Like you get this catch and shoot, right? And you're kind of going up for it, and your mind's telling you pass it, but your body is saying shot, because you hit that shot so many times during the season. You hit it so many times during practice that you just need to follow through with it and hit it with confidence. They know they're not going to hit 100% behind the three. That's fine.
No.
They're going to keep kicking it to you regardless, right?
Mhm.
So trust that you're going to get another. The coach will tell you if you need to pass the ball one more time, right? Or if you need to kick it out
Right.
if you made a careless mistake. In the meantime, shoot with confidence, and you know if you hit that shot 1,000 times, it's going to go in. So just go out there and do that. But over the playoffs, you've seen that Oklahoma City has kind of struggled from the three-point line and relied on some of their key players to kind of shoot these off-balance shots and let it go in. Granted, they're playing a tough Western Conference Finals. No, not Western Conference Finals. A Western Conference teams, right? But with the Timberwolves being very tough defensively, right? You have Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, who with that team won a few years back, won the NBA Finals with that exact same team. Granted, a few trades here and there, but with all their key players still there. So Aaron Gordon being a very, very tough three-point defender, but also can drain it on the other end. And it's been time and time again. You've seen that, right? So I think Oklahoma City, if they do not shoot with confidence, they're going to struggle. And if the Pacers can capitalize on that and hit those shots shooting behind the three, that's where the Pacers are going to be able to stay somewhat in the game, and if not, carry out a couple wins.
Yeah, I agree completely, 100%, dude. Like, just a couple stats, because Indiana ranks first pretty much in a lot of offensive categories, but they're shooting 57.6% from the field right now, which is actually second in the playoffs right now. 40% from three, which is first. 58.7 from the mid-range, which is first. So they're getting open looks. And again, we talk about the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference. A little bit different, but regardless, this team has every single call they've answered so far. You know, they've been the better team in every single series that they've played by a pretty large margin. Like, I did not have a worry about the Pacers losing that series against the Knicks. Even with Cleveland, after game one, it was wraps. Like, it was over. Cleveland had no answers, you know? And again, I don't know. I want to say that I believe in the Oklahoma City defense more than I believe in the Indiana's offense, just because you can, let's just say, like, predict or like, you know what you're doing defensively, where shot making and everything you do offensively, you can get guys open looks, but a promise to make a shot is not a promise, right? It's a make or miss league. And if Indiana has a game like they had in game, let's say, game, what was it, 4, 5? Yeah, game 5 where they lost. You're probably getting blown out by Oklahoma City, probably by 20 or 30 that game. You know, because they take advantage of every single one of your weaknesses. If you are missing shots, they are going to get on the other end. And that's kind of where I get to the point about, like, the other bench play. Like, Jalen Williams was on, like, the chopping block for a lot of, like, Thunder fans during that Denver series, especially after game 6, I believe, where maybe he had, like, 6 points or something like that. Comes out game 7, goes crazy. Was phenomenal in the Minnesota series. Phenomenal. Jalen Williams, if he just plays aggressive the entire game, and he's able to guard a guy like Pascal Siakam, he's able to switch on to Halliburton, he's able to get out, you know, and contest shots from Neesmith, Nimhard, McConnell, whoever it is. Like, you have the best version of Jalen Williams right now, because he's learned from his mistakes. We talk about Chet Holmgren. The games that they have lost, that Oklahoma City has lost, Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams have just, like, not shown up to the games. When they do show up, it is GG's for anybody in the league. If they just show up to the game and just put on an average game. I'm not even talking about a great game. That's how good this team is. If Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren just put on a good game, you're winning the game by a pretty significant margin. And we've seen that time and time and time again. with this Oklahoma City team.
I want to ask you kind of an off-topic question here, but how do you feel the players react and also feel when they go and play an away game for 2 games and say they were to lose them both, going back home, knowing that your back is against the wall, 2 more games and you're out, you have to defend home? What do you think goes through those players' mindsets?
Exactly what you just said. Our back's against the wall. We have to go get a win. And I feel like the best teams do their best whenever they play free. When you have like a F it, I don't care anymore type of attitude, we're just going to go out there and play. That's when teams are the scariest. That's what we got from Minnesota game 3. Our back's against the wall. F it. We're going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at Oklahoma City this game. And Oklahoma City is just not going to be prepared for it. And then you get an Oklahoma City team that just did not show up that game. Nobody showed up. I was talking about Jalen Williams and Chet. Shea didn't show up either.
Yeah.
14 points. Like, those are the scariest moments for any opposing team, is when a team has their back against the wall and they have nothing else to lose. So they go out there and just play free. And I think that's what a lot of Indiana plays like on a night-to-night basis. Hey, we're just going to play free. We're going to shoot our shots. We're going to shoot with confidence. We're going to drive, kick. We're going to get out in transition every moment we get to. That's why I think Indiana could steal a couple games and even win the series if they're able to play like that all series long.
And shoot the 3.
If they're shooting the 3 consistently like they have
I think
been,
you got some
if they're
stats
shooting
for
corner
us,
threes,
though, too. What's the percentages that the Pacers are typically shooting?
Just from Neesmith alone, because I just mentioned the 3. They're 40% from 3, which is the first in the NBA playoffs. But from Neesmith, he's shooting 17 for 35 from the corners. And if we're going to talk about the Oklahoma City defense, their only weakness, the only one, and I don't even know if it's really a weakness, but the shot that they give up the most is the corner 3, because it's the hardest 3 to make. Neesmith is shooting damn near 50% from the 3.
Flip a coin
from this postseason.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, exactly.
Head to
it
tails,
might just go in.
Then it might just go in, actually, if he's shooting the ball. That's
Exactly.
an insane statistic, especially from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you guard that?
As a team as well, they shoot 46.9% from the corners. That is ridiculous to shoot that percentage from the corners. That is the hardest shot to make. In Oklahoma City, we saw it all series long against Minnesota. They just kept giving it up. They guard everything else. And then it got kicked to the corner, and they were like, you know what? Have it. And then game 6, they were game 4, they were hitting all of them. They were hitting all of them. DiVincenzo stepped up. Naz Reid stepped up. And then you don't get a game from Julius Randle. You don't get a game from Anthony Edwards.
Right. So, which ultimately kind of screwed the pooch, per se, for Minnesota.
What you just said?
Screwed the pooch.
I'm talking pooch.
Screwed the pooch, man. That's what it's called.
Yo, this is PG.
Oh, my bad. Anyways. The inconsistencies from Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. Does the Pacers have any inconsistent athletes on their starting 5 that...
They're all inconsistent. They're all inconsistent. Like, the postseason run, they've been consistent. But if we're talking about the season in its entirety, they've all been inconsistent. Like, Halliburton's been inconsistent. Pascal Siakam has been inconsistent. What, Neesmith? Nembhard? They've all been inconsistent. They're just doing really well in the postseason, and this is when it matters. And they've been playing well. Yep. So I'm going to count for what counts right now, but can they do it one more series? Can they do it against the best defense we've seen in ages?
I don't know. Pacers fans think so, man.
I believe it too. Yeah. I had the same thoughts about Minnesota, though. You know, I had the same thoughts about Denver, right? And Oklahoma City just seems to answer every single question that we have about them defensively for every single series. Flip side, Indiana has answered every single question that we've had about them. So my mind going into it is, can Oklahoma City can they answer this one last test, right? Can they stop the best offense in the postseason? Can they do it? They have to slow them down. They're going to get out in transition, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to. They're going to run. But are they going to turn the ball over? Are they going to go through spurts like they did against the Knicks, where I think it was maybe game 4, maybe 3, where they went 5 minutes without a field goal. If you do that against Oklahoma City, you're out. That's a loss. Count it.
I think a big deciding factor in this also as well is points off the bench is going to be huge. Rest time, what happens in between the ends of the first quarter and the ends of the middle of the second quarter, right? Before your starters come back in to finish out the half. I think that's going to be a big key factor in who actually ends up running with this or not, because people are going to shoot lights out, right? You're going to have Halliburton drain a couple threes. You're going to have Pascal Siakam throw a couple dunks, Nesmith hitting shots, buckets, right? You're going to have that. You're going to have Chet start off the game with a 3-point shot because that tends to be who they kick it to.
Yeah.
You're going to have Jalen Williams. Dort might miss a couple, but he might drain his first threes, right? So like that starting 5 is going to it's going to go back and forth. Where it really matters and where you're really paying attention to the games are going to be what happens towards the end of the first quarter and the middle of the second quarter. When you start to add your rotations in, who's taking away with the game?
That's where I feel like Oklahoma City has the advantage.
Right.
I think both teams are deep, but no one compares to Oklahoma City's bench. They just have so many guys to throw out at you. So many. And it's just not that big of a drop-off. We're talking Cason Wallace, bro. We're talking Alex Caruso.
Who won a ring.
Coming off the bench.
He won a ring already.
Who won a ring. Coming off the bench, bro. Coming off the bench. Alex Caruso coming off the bench. Even Hartenstein. I wanted to get into the small ball thing because I think that could be the Pacers' kryptonite. Knicks did not have a small ball lineup to go to. They had to keep Mitchell Robinson in there. Wow, you're not going to play Karl Anthony Towns? They don't play other guys anyways. Who are you going to play, right? Oklahoma City has the best fastball in the league when they go their small lineup. They can go J-Dub at the 5. They can go Kenrich Williams at the 5. Did you see during SGA's award ceremony when he won the MVP? It was on ESPN. I believe it was maybe Chuck who was on the TV, and he was like, "Yeah, who was that number 34 out there? Who was that number 34?" Because he just locked up Julius Randle the night before. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's our boy Kenrich or whatever. That's our boy Rich." And it was like nobody even knows who Kenrich Williams is, but Oklahoma City fans. And he's like not a big drop off from anybody else on the team. He's still a big body. He can still shoot the ball. He can still dribble. He can still penetrate. He can still pass. He can play defense.
When they
does
rotate,
it all.
what's his name?
And he's like 11th man. He's like their 11th man on the team, bro. Like
or
that.
They throw
that
Isaiah
is how
Joe
deep
in there.
They throw Isaiah in there. And again, defensively, he's a very underrated defender. He will stay in front. All you got to do, stay in front of McConnell. Okay, do it. Now McConnell has to guard you.
Right.
From 30 feet out because Isaiah Joe can hit that shot.
We got to think about it in practice too. If you're playing against the number 1 team in the West, I want to know who competes with them in practice. Who are the matchups in practice, right? Because they're also going to be athletes. They're also going to be fast. They're also going to be well-disciplined, conditioned underneath the leadership of Shea Gilgeous and Chet Holmgren.
Gilgeous. Shea Gilgeous.
Gilgeous.
I think a lot of people, I've done that a few times. Gilgeous. I'm like, how do I say this?
Practice squad is going to be deep, man. And I think the key factors in those games is not only going to be defense, but how the points off the bench, how well they respond.
I 100% agree with that, man. Because, again, you got Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, even Hartenstein, which I don't know if he starts this series. Just because of the pace of the Pacers, because they like to play so fast. I don't know if they end up starting Hartenstein. So you might end up starting Caruso. You might end up starting Casey Wallace.
And just
then
have one big out
Hartenstein
there.
come in. Yeah, and then have Hartenstein come in whenever, Chet comes out.
Well, you know who the Pacers are starting with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's the same lineup every single time. And they're scary. But then it's like after that, after they get rid of some of those guys, I believe in Oklahoma City's bench over Indiana's bench. 100%. Right? You can't play Halliburton 48 minutes of a game. If you do, he's going to be winded. Because, again, Indiana likes to run. Oklahoma City likes to run too. So you can't play everybody for 48 minutes here. It's not going to be one of those Jokic series where, I think they're a Jokic and LeBron series where they can go 48 minutes apiece because they just slow the game down so much. These are two teams, man, that just want to run at you all game long. So you have to have fresh legs, have to have fresh bodies. So I'm wondering how that actually impacts later in the series. Like maybe not game 1, but as you get into like game 3, game 4, game 5, game 6, who gets worn down more? Is it going to be Indiana because they don't have, they don't have the equivalent of bodies that Oklahoma City does? Or does Oklahoma City just look done, because they're just not ready for the moment or something? Does the age thing come into play and like they don't have enough experience, which I think they've proven that.
So you mentioned them maybe starting Hartenstein, maybe starting out there with Alex Caruso. So leading into that, matchups. Let's talk about matchups.
Yeah.
Who is guarding the MVP, the Kobe Bryant of our era? This dude can shoot anywhere on the court at all times. Who is guarding Shea?
People are going to get mad at you for that.
He is.
Shea's not Kobe.
They play similar. They do in really all of their shots. I've seen a side-by-side. Somebody posted a video of a side-by-side of Kobe taking shots and Shea taking shots, and they're the exact same. Other than, you got the haters that are saying Kobe took a shot backwards while Shea took a shot forwards, right? It's like the play style and the ball movement and the footwork and the transition is all the same. It's all similar. And
I think Shea's favorite player was Kobe too.
That's who he plays like. Anywhere on the court, it's a drop back, shot in your face, open looks, jumpers. And they don't have to be from the 3. They don't have to be layups.
No.
They're from. It's a threat on any point of the court. So when you have that type of player, who do the Pacers put on Shea?
I believe that this is a tough one, man. In my heart of hearts, I feel like they'll still probably put Neesmith on him. But I think they need to go with Nembhard. And on top of that, they're going to double him. They need to get the ball out of his damn hands, dude. If you want any shot in this series, you have to get the ball out of Shea's hand, man, because he's going to get to his spots no matter what. We saw Minnesota try to double him several times, and it just did not work. He'll split it. He'll just run around it and then get to his spot. But then the scariest part, dude, is that you're still leaving open Jalen Williams. You're still leaving open Chet Holmgren. You're still leaving open Isaiah Joe. Like, these guys can play. Casey Wallace. And they can all put it on the floor. The only guy that can't do that, or two guys, is really Dort and Hartenstein. Other than that, every single one of these guys can put the ball on the floor, bro, and attack you, and attack you, and attack you, and attack you. So if your game plan is just to double Shea, Shea's just going to make the right play. And I think he's done a phenomenal job this series, or this season, actually, about just getting your guys involved.
And it's going to be important for OKC to utilize Hartenstein correctly, because in the Minnesota series, when he was not another threat to the basket. He wasn't. Every time they passed him the ball, they knew he was looking to either kind of be a big body, kind of make a good pass there, right? But he wasn't even looking at the basket. And I believe that if they are going to use Hartenstein, and the coaching of how he's going to be utilized in this finals here is going to be, we need you to at least look at the basket. Because there were times when you took yourself completely out of the play offensively by just not turning your body towards it. It was not even a threat. So
Yeah.
I think if they were to take out Hartenstein and put in Alex Caruso, who can kind of shoot a three, but not so consistently as the other, right?
He's been great during the playoffs, man. He's been great.
He's been great, but not as consistent as the other athletes that are on the court. So
I think at one point he was like first on the team in shooting percentage.
against what team?
Because Jalen Williams was terrible.
Against what team?
For a while. Against the two series that, especially against Memphis, but I think it was him and like Cason Wallace. But during you got to think about it. Alex Caruso is not one of those guys who's going to put up many shots like Shea or J-Dub, but the shots that he does put up are efficient and they're open, right? So whenever he does catch the ball and he's open, Alex Caruso's been here. He's not afraid of this damn moment at all. So you don't really want to leave Alex Caruso open either now, because he's been shooting the lights out of the ball too. He's been shooting the best. He's been playing his best basketball this postseason, which is why you got him. And back to the Hartenstein thing. The matchup for Hartenstein against Minnesota was not the matchup for him. Granted, it's not like he was just completely taken out of the game, right? He was still effective. Like, he was still getting rebounds. He was still he's probably the best passer on the team, which is crazy to say. But you're right. As far as he wasn't looking to score, he wasn't, really even looking to like make an efficient pass, like not something towards the basket like he usually does. He was just looking to like use his DHOs, dribble handoffs, coming around screens, setting screens, pick and roll option, but he can't pick and pop because he can't shoot. But what he's been so good at is his push shot, which there were so many times during that Minnesota series where he would catch it and not even look. And I'm like, dude, you take one step in, that is your range to use that. He's been so efficient at that shot, and he just wasn't even looking for it. Where I feel like this series, they've probably went over it and they talked about it. But depending on who's on the floor, I think Hartenstein could be an X factor for Oklahoma City if he's able to use that effectively. Just saying. Yeah. And they foul a lot. Indiana fouls a lot. I know Oklahoma City fouls a lot too, but Indiana
it's a good big to have.
So yeah, I believe it. I believe it's going to be good.
Okay, so who defensively is going to guard Halliburton?
A few guys. I think they're going to just keep switching it up. That's the beauty about Oklahoma City defense.
How fast Anthony Edwards plays, I think Dort's going to be their go-to. Shut him down.
Yeah, they might put Dort on Pascal, honestly.
He's got a bit of a height advantage, a bit of a reach advantage on him.
Doesn't matter.
Middle linebacker style, just get your body in front of his.
Get physical with him. He outweighs him, and he's like, what, 3 inches shorter than Pascal? Dort is used to guarding these guys, bro.
I don't think they're going to put. I think they're going to put Dort on Halliburton, and I think
they might put Cason on Halliburton, or Alex Caruso on Halliburton. They could put J-Dub on Pascal or Halliburton. They're going to switch. They're going to
put Chet on Pascal. That's who I think is going.
Maybe to start out, I could see that. Yeah. I could definitely see that. I don't know. I mean, you got to think about Obi Toppin too. Like who guards Obi Toppin, because he's kind of a bigger body as well, can jump through the roof. So it's like maybe you put Chet on Obi, and then you maybe put Dort on Pascal just for the size, because Pascal can shoot as well. But what you're really worried about is Pascal driving, right? Like Dort, what we know about him is that he's a great perimeter defender, and then also he's not going to let anybody get to spots, right? So, and he studies more than anybody else on the team, probably defensively. He's not going to let Pascal get to his spots. And when he does, once Pascal does catch it in a spot, he's going to manipulate Pascal into shooting a shot that he doesn't really feel comfortable taking. Like, that's how much study they do defensively. So that's why I like Dort, and plus the size. He'll just knock him out of certain spots, and he won't let him drive. And he's a great perimeter defender. So if we're talking about Pascal, it's not like Pascal's getting the ball and he's setting, he's the ball handler on a bunch of pick and rolls and stuff. It's going to be Halliburton.
Or Nesmith. So,
or, they got a couple. McConnell that can do it, but, like, you don't really have to worry about McConnell shooting a bunch of threes either, So I don't know. Like, again, the beauty of Oklahoma City defense is that you can switch everything. Chet can guard Halliburton at certain times if you want. Like, if he got switched, obviously I'm not the most comfortable with
Right.
that. But
If there
if
was some
somehow
kind of
Chet
pick,
got
yeah.
switched,
Yeah.
I would, get a contest up, right? Get your hand up. You're 7'1", man. Just stay in front. And he's been great about guarding really, really agile
Mhm.
point guards. I think there was a couple times where he had to guard Anthony Edwards. Some of them didn't go so well. I mean, it doesn't go well for a lot of people, but he tried.
Right.
you know, um, but yeah, it's like even if that switch happened, I wouldn't feel super uncomfortable like how I would with if it was like Luka or if it was Jokic or if it was Anthony Edwards again. It like I feel more comfortable with Chet on Halliburton if that got switched than I do with any other team that they saw in the West.
But with Oklahoma City's
So.
ability to draw fouls, do you feel that the Pacers might run into a little bit of foul trouble early on in some of these game series?
I think both teams could, though. I think both teams could foul very early. And depending on how it's reffed, because of the whole foul merchant, foul baiting BS, like, I don't know. I don't know if they call a bunch of fouls, honestly, in this game. I think Shea might try at the beginning of game 1 to see where the refs are at on their calls. And if he's not getting them, then I think he just goes back to his mid-range and kind of dominates from there. But if they are going to give them calls, I feel as if Indiana will get in a lot of trouble defensively because of how aggressive
and how
this team
undisciplined
is.
they can be at times.
And how undisciplined they can be. Exactly. Yeah, we went over the key matchups. Who do you think, though, are the key players to this game? Yes, we can talk about
series?
Yeah, for the whole series. I mean, yeah, your answer can be Halliburton or Shea, but if they are, I want you to say someone else as well.
My answer is going to be Jalen Williams for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is he going to shoot confidently and consistently and have those games that we've seen in the Timberwolves? Or is he going to have those rough starts with like he's shown in Denver, right?
Right.
If Jalen is having an off night, the Oklahoma City tends to struggle. I think a consistent player for the Oklahoma City Thunder is going to be Alex Caruso. He's been there before. He's been in that type of pressure. You feed off of Oklahoma Paycom Center's loud energy. I think he's going to keep his team dialed in, but I think the biggest key factor is going to be Jalen Williams for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I guess we could start with OKC and then we can go to the Pacers from there. So what do you think is going to be for Oklahoma City?
This is really tough.
Yep.
Honestly, it's really tough. A part of me wanted to say Lou Dort, and then a part of me wanted to say Casey Wallace. And then now I'm going to go back to the big three. I think it's going to be Chet.
Oh, okay.
Chet is my big X factor to this series. If Chet can still dominate the way that he's been dominating, especially during that Minnesota series, it looked like he was back to his true
blocking
form.
Everything. He's blocking
everything. He's the decision making is what I am most impressed about with Chet Holmgren right now. Early on in that Minnesota series, he rushed everything. It seemed like he was trying to draw fouls. I don't know if he was like trying to get flashy or something, but his game was off. And then you see the second half roll around, and then he looks like a brand new player. Brand new. I mean, he was taking his time. He was getting to the post. He was taking one dribble pump, make the guy go up, dunk, right? He's getting out in transition. He's running the middle of the floor, right? He's cutting. He's setting the right picks. He's picking and popping. He's hitting open shots. If you can get that version of Chet Holmgren during this series, then I believe Indiana has no shot. No shot at all. If Chet Holmgren is on, they're done. And on top of that, arrested, Chet Holmgren is the best Chet Holmgren. I will just say that. I don't have any stats for you, but just from an eye test, every single time this dude comes back from something, like if he gets an extended period of rest, he always looks so good. So good. So I believe he'll come out with a banger in game 1. And then if he can coast and maybe not do that well in game 1 or whatever, but just kind of get to his averages, right? 17 points per game, get 2 or 3 blocks, 10 rebounds or whatever,
right.
9, 8 rebounds, whatever, and get on transition, run the middle of the floor, space the floor whenever Shea's out there, Indiana's going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think Chet Holmgren is my answer right there.
And I'll let you start off. Who do you think is going to be the big key factor for the Pacers in winning the series?
McConnell. Just kidding. McConnell. This is a tough one, too. I'll say, too, I think Nesmith and Nembhard are going to be my 2 key factors. I think you know what you're going to get from Pascal. A part of me really wants to say Pascal because Oklahoma City tends to just dominate the really good offensive players. So I think that might be your answer. So I wanted to kind of go with somebody else. Nesmith and Nembhard, if they are able to shoot consistently during the series as well, if Nesmith is able to shoot the way that he's been shooting from the corners, at that, what was the percentage? It was Nesmith at, he's 17 for 35 this postseason from the corners.
A little over 50%.
If he can continue, or is that under 50%? I think he's like 47. Yeah. If he can continuously do that throughout this series, I feel like Oklahoma City's defense could get in a little bit of shambles. But Nembhard, I feel as if they're going to put him on Shea, he's going to have a really, really, really tough time. And so one of those two has got to get on him, if not both, right? Nesmith is also playing with kind of a bad ankle. Or is it Nembhard? I think it's Nesmith that's playing with the bad ankle right now. So you might have to rely on Nembhard to go guard Shea. So I'm really curious to how they end up approaching that matchup right there, just on solely defensively. Offensively, though, if they can get out in transition and they're able to, keep up the pace like they were able to do against the Knicks and every other team that they've played this postseason, and they're able to knock down shots, not saying that they have to do anything special, but just play consistent, then you could probably get Oklahoma City in a lot of trouble.
For me, the easiest X factor on if the Pacers are going to win the series for the NBA Finals is going to be Pascal Siakam, right? That's the easy answer. But the biggest person to watch, as far as if they really do well in the series, is going to be Tyrese Halliburton. Right. His inconsistencies in ball turnovers is going to be what's going to hurt him. And so if he can be more disciplined and control the pace of the game, obviously he's going to throw it up court, make these miraculous passes on these fast breaks. But if Tyrese Halliburton is off, I'm telling you, the Pacers do not stand a chance. He needs to play the best ball he's ever played in his entire life, game in and game out. And it's going to be hard. But Tyrese is going to be the person to watch. If he's off, the Pacers lose. That simple.
Facts. There is a very, very small margin of error for the Pacers this series. Very small. I could be completely wrong, but I mean, I'm just being honest, man. Like, this Oklahoma City team is one of the best teams I've ever seen, ever. Like, they are that good. So the margin for error for Indiana Pacers right now is very, very small. They have to play damn near perfect to win 4 games against this Oklahoma City Thunder team. All you need is 4. I'm not saying that they got to go sweep them. But if you can go take Oklahoma City to 6 or 7 and win the damn series, if they win it in 6, I would be very surprised. 7, I'm like, okay, like they've probably proven something at that point. They probably figured something out. But if they win this thing in 7, I would still be surprised. But hats off to you if you do, because that means you had to put up a hell of a series. Halliburton had to have played probably the series of his life. We just talked about Nembhard, Nesmith, even guys like Obi Toppin. Like, these guys have to play the best series of their life. They have to be locked in. This is not the Knicks. This is not the Knicks. This is not the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Coming to the West, baby. That's what you're doing.
You are coming to the West, and the West was a gauntlet this season. You had the Warriors, you had the Rockets, you had
the
Denver,
Lakers,
you had Minnesota, you had the Lakers, you had even Memphis, who was second in the West at one point. The East has been, Cleveland, Celtics, and everybody else pretty much all
Pistons?
season long.
Don't forget about
That's
Pistons.
I think it was Knicks
Yeah.
at 3, like pretty much the entire season. But the drop off from 1 and 2 during this season was
And to talk about how good the Memphis team was for OKC to sweep them. So we could go right into predictions.
John Morant got hurt though. I will say that John Morant did get hurt, and they were down 20 or damn near 30 at half in Game 3, and then John Morant got hurt, and they came back and won. But anyways, I think Oklahoma City's gotten way better since then. But yeah, we can go on predictions.
So my predictions for the NBA Finals is going to be a clean sweep. Oklahoma City Thunder 4-0. Complete shutout. It's going to be embarrassing. I can say that confidently. I think the first 2 games are going to be a blowout, and then it's going to be kind of a closer match, but I'm going OKC in 4. Yeah.
Am I hearing that right? Clean sweep? You said pull out the brooms already? You're crazy.
Can be. I might be.
You're crazy.
Can be at times. I'm just very confident. The reason why I think that is because Oklahoma City undoubtedly had the toughest team to play, which was the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets, if it wasn't OKC, it was Denver. And if Denver went to Minnesota, Denver would have beat Minnesota. They played on that caliber. They've been in the NBA Finals with Murray and then Jokic that have been there 6 times. They've been to the final 5 to 6 times already. So the more experience.
Not the NBA Finals.
The conference finals. I'm sorry.
Was it
5 or 6 that they've seen the Western Conference Finals. Yes. There was a stat.
Holy
They've been there that
moly.
many times. They're a very experienced team. That's what I'm saying. And they beat Denver in Game 7. I think Denver was the one. If it wasn't OKC, it was going to be Denver. And I think Denver was at the caliber to beat the Celtics at that time. Yeah. But also you have the Pacers and the Knicks that miraculously ended up winning their games. But Denver was the toughest team. OKC pulled it off. Timberwolves was kind of a hiccup at that point, but I feel it's going to be a clean sweep 4-0.
Yeah. That's wild. All right, I'm going to go clean sweep. I'm just kidding.
Making me feel crazy. What would your predictions be for the NBA Finals 2025?
I predict Oklahoma City in
5. You think they're going to lose one?
Realistically, I want to say 5. If I really wanted to think of, if I thought too hard about it, I would say Oklahoma City in 6 or 7, just to make it interesting. I don't see a world where the Pacers played that well for 4 games to beat Oklahoma City. I just don't. Especially with home court advantage for Oklahoma City, it's just too much, man. It's just too much. Oklahoma City in 5. Oklahoma City 5. Yeah. They're going to go back home. They'll drop one. They'll drop one in Indiana. I think they're going to put on a clinic shooting wise, I believe. Oklahoma City's just not going to show up, or it might be a close game or whatever, and Indiana's just going to shoot the lights out of the ball. They win by like 7 or whatever. Oklahoma City goes back home. It'll be an exact replica of the Minnesota series. They'll probably lose Game 3, win Game 4, win Game 5.
All right.
NBA champs.
Game 5. That's a safe bet. That's a safe one. Yeah, they're going to win the first 2 games. They're going to go to Indiana. Maybe they'll pull one out of the 2 games that they have at home.
I really just want to see teams win at their home court as well. You know what I mean? I think it's more special to win at your home court and, raise the trophy and have like the ceremony in front of your home crowd. Everybody's going wild. Nobody leaves their seats, and I think if Oklahoma City really realizes that they're just the more dominant team in this series, like, they might just drop one.
I like the away win.
Like,
why not?
I don't know.
Why not? I mean, you're over there. It's more sentimental. It's just you. The whole crowd is pissed. They're all leaving. They're all mad. And then it's just quiet room.
Oklahoma City.
Shut them out. Shut them out in their hometown. Do it. Screw it, man. Do it. Like, that's the best way to go.
And then they're playing right back. They're all going to be sitting on the fence. Have you seen those videos? with Oklahoma
No.
City? They're all the fans line up at the airport, and like hundreds of them, like sitting at the airport, and they'll have like signs and stuff. And then the Oklahoma City team gets off the plane, they go and like high five them. They'll be like, "OKC, OKC," you know.
Hasn't
It's so
happened
cool. You
yet
gotta go
for
watch
the
those
NBA
videos.
Finals.
It's like a college town. Not for the NBA Finals, but I mean they've been doing it all
Yeah.
postseason so far. They after every single road trip that they've taken, they've had to take the flight back, and they're all there. It's like a college town, bro. College town for Oklahoma City
It's gonna
Thunder.
be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy.
Let's
I
see.
can't wait.
Let's see
We
what
will be
happens.
back. We will be back. Jordan, break it down for the socials, and then I'll say the last words, and we can get out of here.
Go ahead and follow us on all our social platforms. Past Our Prime 25 on TikTok and Instagram. Past Our Prime on Spotify and Facebook and YouTube. This is going to be uploaded later tonight once we get it, exported and filed in. So yeah, stay tuned. Like, subscribe. Leave a comment on what you think your predictions are going to be for the NBA Finals. You've heard our predictions,
Please.
but I'd love to hear yours and your feedback there. It'd be greatly appreciated. Yeah, go ahead and hit that follow button.
Yeah, hit that follow button. We will be back after game 1 of the finals. Can't believe we're already here in June, bro. We will see you guys next time. Be easy.
Take care.
Peace.